Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Learn a New Skill with EQLC. This is our episode 2 of our gardening video. And we are at the garden of Stephanie Arnois, and she is from les Jardins de Forillon. That's her working there. She's a busy little bee. And today she's going to answer some of the questions that we received. We have some questions that were asked by actual, gardeners that have been doing this for years, and some that have just started and want a few tips. So let's go down and see Stephanie. So thank you, Stephanie, again for agreeing to meet with us. We really appreciate it. We have received a bunch of questions from the community. So we discussed them earlier. So we can go and just have a little tour of your garden, and you can let me know as we go. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can.
There were many.
There were many. So.
All right, so
Yes.
let's go. So welcome. This is part of our garden here with Jardins Forillon. So this is not where actually we live. We have a partnership with one of our neighbors here. So part of the garden here is where we grow most of our vegetables, our fruits, and a little bit of our flowers also. I'll walk you down towards the tunnel here towards my right, so you can have a look, a peek of what's inside. So these are our early crops. We put this tunnel in beginning of May, so as soon as there's hardly no more snow, we can put the tunnel on. It helps to melt the snow, get the earth ready, and we sow what likes to be sown in cooler weather.
Okay.
So if you're looking for crops for spring and for fall, I would say arugula is a good one, and spinach, right? It's very, very hard to grow spinach and arugula when it's really, really warm outside. So I, for one, do not even grow them in July or in August. I start them in May. When there's no more, there's no more.
Yes, exactly.
Start over later on. Why so? Because of pests, all right? You see we have covered,
Yes.
on our left here, they're radishes. And here right in front of us is arugula. When we do not cover arugula, what happens, and radishes, everything that has like this mustard taste, or and there's bok choy above also, the row.
Okay.
There's these beetles, these little flea beetles that come and eat your leaves. So you have a very good example here of when it is covered.
Okay.
And when it is not covered, what happens? So,
I see.
This is edible, but I cannot sell this. And you can actually see them. You see, like these little,
yes.
And then when you touch them, they jump, all right?
Okay.
And
they're tiny.
They're really, really tiny. And the best way, biologically speaking, to just control them is to put this anti-flea.
That's what it's
cover.
called. Okay. And you can get this.
You can get this in specialized stores.
Okay.
Like you could not get this at Canadian Tire, for example.
Okay.
We buy most of our cover, row cover, whether it be for insects or just to give a bit more heat, a store called Dubois Agri-Innovation that you can find online. So I said cold, but lettuce is something that we also have year round. Like if you want a crop.
That's lettuce there, right?
Yeah, that's lettuce. If we walk up here slowly, you'll see that we've sown at different times. This is something that it takes a little bit of a while to, I would say, get good at, is to do successful seedlings on a different time throughout the year, throughout the season. So we've started, for example, 2 sets of arugula and 2 sets of spinach.
Okay.
So if you look at the spinach here, like this was sown late, maybe the 3rd of May, the 3rd week of May.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And when we get to this part of the same row, this is also spinach, but this was sown beginning of May. So this now is done. So we've had spinach for 2 weeks now.
Okay.
And now we're going to have spinach for another 2 weeks. Same thing with the arugula here. If I open this row cover very quickly, you can see that this is done. So seedlings beginning of May.
Okay.
The other one that'll still be edible for another 2 weeks or so. And you have the bok choy.
Ooh.
Which is
so good.
Beautiful.
It is.
It's humongous.
Wow.
And it is beautiful. So all of this has a short lifespan.
Okay.
Right? Even lettuce, because you can cut lettuce
These are beautiful
about
too.
twice or 3 times. Once again, seeding in seedlings, so beginning of May, later in May.
Okay.
Once we've done all of this here, we take, well, once there's nothing left, we put in warmer elements that need more warmth, vegetables such as we do hot peppers, basil that we put in here, and also tomatoes and flowers.
Okay.
So every, people were asking about flowers.
Mm-hmm.
Every single garden, like here we have 3 separate gardens. Every single garden, we always try to have flowers.
Yes.
And I would say whatever flowers you like and you wish for, because every type of flower will bring in a specific type of insect that will be able to afterwards
pollinate?
Yeah, pollinate.
Okay.
Thank you. Pollinate what needs to be pollinated. So I like to put in, for example, calendulas.
Okay. No idea what those are.
No?
I'm sure they're beautiful. Sure, they're beautiful.
But they're very easy to grow.
Okay.
You can have I don't know, daisies. You can have not lazy Susans. That would be
Yeah,
in the
that's
kitchen.
what.
No, black-eyed Susans.
Oh, yeah, excuse me. Jeez. Sounded right. I know what you mean.
Susans, the tulips in the spring, they help. You can have, there's so many types of flowers.
Okay, so we can't go wrong with flowers.
You
It's
can't
gonna
go
bring
wrong with flowers, and it does not only look pretty, but it really helps for pollinating. So I have not one specific flower to suggest. I would say just go with what you like to go with.
Excellent. Okay.
Right? When we water, whether it be in the tunnels here or outside, our rule to know if we have watered enough or not is with our finger. All right. It's better to water more thoroughly, less often, than just a little bit at a time.
Okay.
Because as your plant, it develops its root system, it's going to be able to go and get water deeper and deeper down. So if you water just a little bit every day, it'll stay at the surface and your root system is not going to be watered at all.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
So what we do is my eye on this is if I can, put in my whole finger and at the bottom of my finger, it's still wet.
Yeah.
Well, that means I'm okay.
Oh, really?
Right? So I at least have to have 1 to 2 inches deep to be able to say, okay, I'm comfortable with this. I won't have to water today.
Okay, and when you water, you put, like you say, you put a lot.
Like these are what we use
these are awesome.
here.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you could actually see, but they're open, like they're...
Oh, I see, little crack, yeah.
Yeah, okay, every 12 inches or so.
Okay.
And so they're hooked up to our irrigation.
Okay.
And when we open them, I can open them and I leave them for at least 20 minutes or so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how warm it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Especially in the tunnel here. So it's, several hundreds of liters of water per,
okay. Yeah, exactly.
per season, that's for sure.
And like these things, does this come off at all this summer, or do you keep this up?
This is up all the time.
It's all the time.
Yeah,
okay.
all the time.
Okay.
The plastic is 3 seasons, so we have to take it off in winter.
Okay.
But we do not take it all off.
Okay.
So if I want to have actual rain, I need to open up the sides. But once again, if I'm working with tomatoes and hot peppers and basil, which will be the next elements to come in, well, they really need warmth, right? They like 18 degrees, 20 degrees. So it's not accurate for me to open the tunnel on its sides if it's going to rain and they announce like 15 degrees.
Exactly.
So I really have to, I'm linked to my irrigation system. But the other thing that you have to also take into consideration is what have you sown the year before?
Okay.
and what type of pests may that have brought in that specific
Oh,
spot
yes.
in the garden.
Okay.
Because some of these pests, worms, or even the smallest egg, can hibernate.
Oh,
And
okay.
then in the spring, when spring has sprung and we have heat, well, then it can pop open and eventually start eating off any other little seedlings from the same family. If you, for example, if we look at our garlic.
Okay.
All right.
I love how much garlic this is. Love it.
So we have different varieties of garlic,
Okay.
but garlic is one that needs to be in a specific spot, or do not go back to the specific spot for at least 4 years.
Okay.
So if I have sown garlic here in the fall, we're in 2026, so I'm not supposed to come back in these rows here before 2030.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Why? Well,
Yeah.
because there's a certain worm that makes up of a butterfly, and it can actually hibernate in the soil. That's one, so pest. And the other thing is what type of nutrients this plant is also going to feed off.
Okay.
And this likes a lot of nitrogen.
Oh.
And so if I always put, like in the same family as garlic, you have onions, you have leeks, for example. So if next year I say, I'm going to put, onions, or I'm going to put leeks, I can't do that. I'm still in the same family.
Our first video, we talked about the soil.
Yeah.
And how you mentioned, like, I think the one that we had like mushrooms and stuff. That was for the seedlings.
Yeah.
But like for your ground here, like, is it just the ground that's here, or did you have it tested and you know what's good and what's not? And also, do you use compost? Do you make your own, or do you buy it?
Well, if we have our soil tested, the answer is yes.
Yes.
To
Okay.
make sure, so we can have an idea of what our soil is made of. Afterwards, what we build in our soil is, yes, compost. We do not make our own compost,
Okay.
but this year we bought the compost from the recycling center. So from
Oh, yes.
Rivière.
Okay.
So you know what we put in our compost bins that goes to Grande Rivière, or Chandler actually.
Okay.
It's Chandler. So we have a mix of 3/4 of marine compost and 1/4 of domestic compost mixed together.
Okay.
So this is what we are using this year. The years prior, we have always used marine compost because we like the elements of algae and shrimp, and because it brings in some nutrients that you don't find in regular
awesome.
compost.
Okay.
We also have brought some horse manure, but that was aged.
Oh, okay.
Because sometimes when it is too fresh, it will burn some of
Too
the
strong.
roots. It's kind of too strong.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it has to mature.
Okay.
For at least a year.
Mature
a year
poop.
And a half. Yeah, mature poop. You got it. So the last thing that we do to help our soil is to put in what we call a green fertilizer. Now, what I mean about this is plants. All right. So plants that help give nutrients to the soil, whether it be phosphor, nitrogen, you name it. There are different types of greens that you can sow either in the fall or even in the early spring. And we have the machinery to do so too.
Oh.
You have to, well, not to sow, but after what we do is that these are going to actually be incorporated in the soil, as if you would put, for example, a bunch of dead leaves.
Yes.
in
Oh,
the
yes.
fall.
Okay.
And then, in the spring, like, you hardly even see them anymore. And when you rake your soil, they incorporate. They bring calcium, and they bring different nutrients to your soil. In the spring, you would see most of all our garden just filled with these, looks like tall grass.
Yeah. And you recommended leaves because, a lot of people rake their leaves. So if somebody has a big garden, should they rake their leaves and throw it in their garden? Is that something
they
that...
could.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless, your leaves, unless your trees have sometimes, your leaves are spotted because they have a certain type of mushroom or so, or
like a disease, some
they
kind
have
of...
a disease of
Yeah.
some sort. So you have to be careful with that too, not to contaminate your soil.
Oh, okay.
If you overdo it. But yeah, definitely.
I'm going to do that.
It really does
I always
help.
wondered.
And it's also something that you could use when you sow garlic, for example.
Mm-hmm.
We put some hay.
Oh, okay.
Right? Why do we do that? If we know that we're going to have more and more water shortages as the years come with climate change. So it's nice to have something that covers also your soil, so it keeps your soil damp.
Oh, perfect.
And you
okay.
do not have to water as often afterwards. And the other thing is, it also helps with weeds, so you do not have to weed your garden
so you can use hay instead of like buying mulch kind of thing.
Well, you could buy mulch,
yeah,
but it cannot be too acid also, because your soil does not like to be too acid.
Okay.
So if it's mulch, that has a certain maturity. Even if it's cedar, it won't matter.
Okay.
But hay or your leaves.
Yes, exactly. Okay.
So that helps.
That's great.
Another thing that helps also with heat and keeping your soil dry, not dry but wet, is these row covers. So these kind of blankets that we put over our seedlings.
Yeah.
What you have here is a succession of carrots and beets.
Okay.
Sorry for the...
That's okay. That's the sounds of summer. I love it.
So you see here we have beets, and we've been lucky because it has been raining for the past 2 or 3 days, or 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know, but no, at least 2 or 3 days. So the soil is really nice and damp. So we have not watered. But now that the sun is out, we know that a lot of water evaporation is going to happen. So how can we stop? Part of this water evaporation is with this type of cloth.
Okay. What is that?
This is a row cover.
Okay, so that you can buy pretty well, online, or?
Yeah, you can buy it online, as I said earlier.
Okay.
But sometimes, people have like these old curtains.
Oh, okay.
White curtains that will, it gives a little bit of heat, and it also helps so the water does not evaporate. And when it's cold,
okay,
when I don't know, you've planted your tomato plants outside and they're announcing 10 degrees and you're wondering, oh my God,
yes.
what am I supposed to do?
Exactly.
Well, if you can cover your tomatoes with just, a light blanket or something that will, not break your plant.
That's it, just,
you can do that with, stuff that you have at home. Of course, don't forget to take it off the following morning.
That's it.
So
when do you take this off and leave it off?
I will take it
when
off.
it gets a certain size.
I would say maybe in 2 weeks or so.
Okay.
Because this have been sown, with seeds. I did not transplant these.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting to be sure that everything has risen correctly. That
Okay.
I'm happy with the seedlings, and afterwards I'll take this off. So
Perfect.
maybe in 2 weeks from now. So when we start, we always put this to make sure that we have a little bit more heat, because it will add roughly 2 or 3 degrees to the soil.
Oh.
And as I said, it will retain the water.
That's
the only
great.
thing is, the downside of this, a lot of manipulation. You can,
okay.
Because you have to think about the wind. So here we have 90-kilometer, winds. So you have to put some weights. And when you want to afterwards look at what's happening, you want to weed, well, it's a lot of manipulation.
It's a lot, yeah, exactly.
One thing that you should keep in mind is that you should put together elements close to one another that like to have the same type of temperature and the same type of watering.
Yes, okay.
All right, so if I'm not going to put in my tunnel right away, for example, my tomatoes, because my radishes, they don't like heat, but my tomatoes like heat.
Okay.
So if I'm going to put them together, it's not going to work out, because one is going to want me to keep the tunnel shut.
Okay, and the other
is going to want to keep the tunnel open.
Okay.
So that can help you out also in planning what to put together. I would say that as I have here in the garden, I have the leeks, I have the onions, and I have the garlic together, but they still need to be apart from one another, because since the same pest attack these three, because they're in the same family, well, it's nice to have them separated. So look into
Oh, okay.
that, all right? If you have a certain pest, well, you may want to, and you have vegetables from the same family, you want maybe to have them separated from one another.
Okay.
That would go also with kohlrabi and rutabaga, and another one would be winter radishes, for example. So you do not necessarily want to have them next to one another because you'll have the same pest.
Okay.
It's hard to tell, you know, exactly.
No, of
what
course.
goes
Yes,
with
exactly.
what. And also what I've done, I've just done tests.
Exactly. That's the thing.
Honestly, I've done tests. Sometimes if you have, for example, in one specific row, if I show you, you see, if we put this up here, it's because on either side we have sugar snap peas.
So
right?
good.
They're
Yeah.
so good. And they're
So
going to
good.
climb on this.
Okay.
If I still have a little bit of room, like my sugar snap peas have been sown. There's one coming up actually. Have been
Oh, I
sown,
see. Okay.
Yeah, here. There's another one there. Yeah, there's several. Right, they're coming up slowly but surely. I know they're going to take up, you know, a certain space, but I still have this part of row here that's available.
Okay.
I know that they're going to give a little bit of shadow, especially on the other side here.
Okay.
Well, in the past, I have put lettuce. You know,
okay.
I've sown lettuce every single little space that I can take, because I still find that I don't have enough space to do whatever I want.
Okay.
Everything that I want. So yeah, you can try stuff like that.
Okay. And what is just? I don't want to step on anything. What is this? Yeah.
This is
Kind of like a.
It's not wire. It's just like a plastic.
Plastic.
Yeah,
Eh?
it's a plastic.
Okay.
And it's something that we reuse from.
Oh, I see. It's rolled. Okay.
Yeah, it's rolled up there. So it's something that we use from one year to another. There's still a little bit of peas attached from it.
Okay, from last year.
From last year, you see. So we try to reuse as much as possible.
Okay.
Because there's quite a lot of plastic also in agriculture.
Yes, exactly.
So we try to be careful with that too. All right, so I know we haven't gone over every single question, so I hope this has been
We still
a little bit
did a
helpful.
lot.
But things that we want to mention before I leave and actually go work.
Yes, exactly. You poor thing.
Make sure that before you put anything that you've sown inside your house, outside, that you harden it off. What do I mean by that is making sure that your plant get used to being outside. So you have to work this out for at least a week in advance before you want to actually transplant your plant outside. So let's say you've sown tomato seeds and you have plants. We're June 17th now, today, right?
Yes.
I, for one, think it's a little bit too early yet to put my tomato plants outside. I'm not going to put them outside at least for, you know, the end of June, because we've had kind of a rough spring
Yes.
so far. And I don't, so if I plan that on June 30th, my tomato plant is outside, what are 7 days before June 30th? That would be June 23rd. So starting June 23rd, I'm slowly but surely going to put it outside. So in the morning, in the shadow, all right, not straight in the sun, for a few hours, maybe just for the morning. Bring them back in, and gradually, along that period of time, maybe after 3 days, they're actually in the sun for the whole period, like from 8 in the morning, I don't know, from 6 in the morning to 6 at night, but I still bring them inside. And the last 2 days, well, then, you know, they're outside 24/7. So when I'm sure that they're okay, if you're putting them outside, of course, if you're putting them in a greenhouse, you've sown them in the greenhouse, you don't have that problem. But if you still have sown your tomato plants in your house and you're bringing them in the greenhouse, there's still going to be a gap of temperature there. So make sure that you're okay with your greenhouse and opening and closing it, you know, carefully, because it's going to be even warmer in the greenhouse than it is in your house.
Exactly.
So you may want to, before even putting it in the ground itself, if it's still in its pot, just bring that pot in the greenhouse and see how your plant reacts to that. and maybe after a day or 2 or 3 days, then you will put it in your greenhouse. So that's one. So making sure you're hardening off every transplant that you're going to do in your garden. And when you have that date set up, try and look at the weather pattern, because you don't want to sow your transplants in the middle of the day when it's 30 degrees outside.
Yes, yeah.
It's too hot. So you want to do that early in the morning or later on in the afternoon. Make sure that your soil is wet. Make sure that your plant is nice and wet also. So, because if nothing is wet, well, it won't be able to feed on water, and it's going to dry up very, very easily. So you want everything to be nice and wet, and set it in carefully. If you need to add compost or whatever you need to add, and make sure that you do that too. When to water afterwards? Well, we saw earlier before the test, the finger test. And it's best to do it early in the morning. Why? Because it's going to have all that energy, all that water to go through the day, especially if it's very, very warm during the day. It's going to need to hydrate. The plant needs to hydrate itself. A plant drinks first and foremost with its roots, but it also drinks with its leaves. The thing is, if you water directly on the leaves in the middle of the day, it may burn your leaves actually. So we want to try and avoid that. If you water at night, what could happen, why it's better in the morning than at night, is because the temperature is lowered in the evening, and then your soil can become cooler because you have hydrated it.
Oh, okay. That's right.
So we want to try to avoid that too. Across the season, you have pests, and you may find sometimes that your plants are not looking too well. You may have brown spots, yellow spots, bits of pieces, been taken, someone grabs something, when you see that, it could be, so many circumstances can bring towards that yellow spot on your tomato plant. So the best advice I can give is read about it. Like, is there, just physically speaking, can you look at your plant, turn over the leaves? Is there anything physical that you can see? Is there a bug? Is there a spider building its nest? Just look. Are there snails? Just try and find, is there a pest that you can see? If there is no pest, well, then is there something lacking in your soil? Have you overwatered? Is there missing any, if I'm still talking about tomatoes, like calcium or any mineral that's, so it's so wide span that
exactly,
it's hard to pinpoint down. But they're excellent books, and they're excellent websites that you have the picture.
Yeah.
You can match this picture with what you have. Take an example, like take a leaf off and check it out to make sure that you can actually correspond it to the right picture, and follow
exactly.
the instruction. Like what do the people do for this kind of stuff?
Have you ever used those apps? Like they say, if you take, there's apps now that you take a picture and it tells you exactly what it needs or what's wrong with it. Like, I don't know how accurate those are.
Well,
have you ever?
I haven't. I haven't myself, but I know that some people have, and it does give quite a good answer.
Exactly. Yeah.
But for me, it's always important to go for more than one source. And if you want to eat vegetables all summer long, once again, just remember to sow every 2 or 3 weeks, maybe some elements that you really like. For example, lettuce. You could still even have baby carrots at the beginning of July, and then have really long carrots in October. You can also have radishes year long if you have certain spots where you have more shade, right?
Exactly.
As I said earlier, I do spinach in the beginning of a spring and late in the fall, but if I had a special spot where there's a bit more shadow in the summer, well, I try it, because I know that spinach likes to be in a cool spot. Okay. So if you have several areas where you have a garden that's completely in sunlight, well, there's some elements that will do well there, some with partly shade and partly sunlight. just, you know, have fun trying stuff and
Yeah, testing it out.
Yeah, testing it out, and don't be too hard on yourself. I mean,
Exactly.
We've been doing, you know, professional gardening for 7 years now, and there's always elements that go very well and others are challenging.
Exactly.
You know, so
Exactly. We learn all the time, right?
exactly. It's a big question of resilience.
Exactly.
And being able to bounce back when elements don't work out like you want.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. You've been so helpful once again. We all really appreciate it. And I see your lovely kiosk over there, so I'm going to go and let people know the address and where they can stop all summer. And there's already things in there, right? Okay. So this is the address, 1672 Boulevard Forillon. To come to Les Jardins de Forillon's little kiosk that they have here. And Stephanie's going to show us how it works.
So it's quite easy. It's a self-serve kiosk. So you come in, and depending on what time of the season it is, well, you have different products that are available. So we have mesclun, which is a mix of salad. We have arugula. We have beets from last fall. We have spinach, bok choy, and we have radishes. And all of this is always freshly picked. So all of these were picked either this morning or yesterday. And I always try to have, you know, like these little treats.
Wonderful.
So for example, here we have brownies, chocolate brownies with red beets. So beets and chocolate. And these here are carrot cake cupcakes.
Oh, wow. Those look good.
And of course, bouquets that you can also take. And the way that you pay is quite easy. You have two modes of payment. You can either pay cash. So we have a little setup here where people actually leave what they've taken, but you can also, we have change, so you can actually take some change, or you do an interact.
A transfer?
A transfer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, an interact transfer with a phone number.
All the prices are all there.
Yeah, you have a little list of prices.
Okay. And the phone number is right here.
There you go.
To send the money.
Beginning of the year, so fresh veggies, which are good, and you can either, you know, cook or eat raw. And it's just the beginning. So
exactly.
As we go towards, you know, more and more towards the season in July and August, well, that's when you have the peas and the beets and the carrots and
relish. Is there relish?
Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, and please don't forget to stop by. I'm just going to back up here and show you again. So 1672 Boulevard Forillon, and here's the little kiosk that you can visit on your own and enjoy some of their beautiful products. Everything tastes so good. Have a great day, everyone.